Hello, welcome. I'm Helen, Authentic Discovery. This is another episode of Speak Your Truth Conversations. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like to like, subscribe, share, all that information, ticky buttons down there. This week we're talking with the lovely Jeroen, and may I ask you, I hope I've said your name correctly. Jeroen, may I invite you to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, so my name is Jeroen. They call me Jeroen in Holland. In Ireland, I'm happy when people call me whatever they call me. Well, Jeroen, or etc. Yes, so I'm from Holland. I'm a homeopathic practitioner and social entrepreneur. So I combine, let's say, social inclusion in my approach of homeopathic. Now, how did I get that far? Well, as a child, I was different. I was not understood. Also, the harmful education system troubled me big time. I was not able to fit in, let's say. And so I was kind of urged to follow my own path. And so I followed my own path. And of course, I continue in the provided education system. So I ended up in mechanical engineering. I studied mechanical engineering. After that, I had a few successful years in the field, let's say. But at the same time, I was interested in things that others were not bothered about. Yeah. So I was interested in spirituality, psychology, and of course also in related subjects of mechanical engineering, such as physics and maths. And I walked my own path. And so as a consequence, I ended up in the field and was not entirely happy. It was not fulfilling. It was a dead-end path for me. So in an urge to make something of my life, I decided to study homeopathy. Now, homeopathy is an alter. It's a medicine that takes account of the whole person, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And so I did that study for 6 years, including related subjects such as pathology, physical examination, psychology, nutrition, naturopathy, etc. But at the meantime, I continued my own path, which was a path that comprised psychoanalysis of Jung. It comprised the relativity theories of Einstein, quantum physics. So that is kind of the mix I came out with. But I definitely walked my own path, my own spiritual path, which could be a very lonely path at times because it's hard to convey what's going on. So anyway, I was also in homeopathy. I felt a bit standing on my own, also in the field of homeopathy. I nevertheless started my practice in Holland in 2000, let's say, after 6 years of study and full-time placement for practice, let's say. I have had from 2001 till 2003, I had my practice in Holland as well. And then we moved to Ireland in 2003, me, my wife, and my children. And again, I had to build up my life here. I worked in a factory, while at the same time I was, let's say, starting my practice for homeopathy. And but still went my own way, my own spiritual path like this, a spirit guide.
Can I just ask some questions about what you've already said? Because you kind of introduced yourself and then answered my next question, which would have been, how did you get there? So you've told me about a little about your journey to homeopathy. But I'm curious, you said you came to Ireland and worked in factories. Was that, and I believe I heard you say that you initially trained as a mechanical engineer?
Yeah.
Correct. So did you work as a mechanical engineer in Ireland?
I turned that computer, was not interested anymore.
Okay.
Did all kinds of jobs, too much to mention. Yeah?
Okay. Okay.
I
I was just
completely
curious.
tell you.
So the
Yeah.
mechanical engineering side of you was something that. What took you to that point? Well, how come you chose to choose mechanical engineering in the beginning? Is it because everybody's wired differently? So to me,
Yeah.
mechanical engineering sounds like making sure that things work and fit. So, you know, do you like Tetris, for example? What took you to mechanical engineering in the first place? Was it
Well,
family expectations, or what was it that interested you about that?
yeah. Well, it was just that I couldn't do anything else. That's the education system in Holland. At a very young age, you have to make a choice. And because my father was technically inclined, they expected, Jeroen will be. But I didn't. I just follow along, you say.
But you were able to qualify yourself in that field.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And do you see any similarities between, does the way that mechanical engineering works in your head, can you see a correlation between how that impacts on your, or does it impact on your homeopathy and your spiritual?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But that makes me the outsider as well. Yeah,
In the
because
homeopathic community?
that makes me the outsider everywhere I go. Because I discovered a path for myself that is very fulfilling, very rewarding, but it's a lonely path. Now, and so I included terminology derived from physics into the psychology of Jung.
Okay, so you've
Jungian
created
psychology, etc.
you've merged all of the modalities and the learning into a very unique your own,
Yeah,
sorry,
I,
way of working. And you also mentioned at the very beginning that you're a homeopath and a social did you say social inclusion activist?
no, social entrepreneur.
Social entrepreneur. So what kind of social entrepreneur, what does that look like? What is a social entrepreneur?
Yeah. So as a consequence of walking my own path, you felt lonely at times. And what happened to me is that at a certain stage, yes, I had to give up on this factory work, yeah, and I felt myself in a very lonely and isolated position, yes, and I could not convey what was going on in my heart, let's say, and as a consequence, I also acted in a way that people did not understand, and I ended up being locked up in psychiatry twice, yeah. So I was also drugged up to that. Thanks to this independent path that was set out for me, yeah, by the divine, yeah, God. I had the knowledge and the skills to overcome this independently. So it's a social crisis. It's a crisis where people are not listening to you. And I came out independently thanks to that path.
Okay, I'm still a little bit, I'm not sure what a social entrepreneur is then
Yeah,
still.
but that's the next question.
I'm still like, what is a social entrepreneur?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah,
I hear that you experienced the mental health system in Ireland twice and managed to extrapolate yourself from that. Is that what a social entrepreneur is? Someone that is able to pull themselves out of I mean, what is a social entrepreneur?
So, well, that's exactly where well, from hindsight, the purpose of this social excluding effect on me made me discover what more I could do in this life. So I decided to work for the people in distress who are worse off than I am, who had not that capability.
Okay.
So I started, let's say, expanding my homeopathic knowledge in the field, in the social field, and I set up groups, self-help groups. First, a self-help group for people in distress. Second, a self-help group, and you know it, for people who wish to grow their own vegetables in a sustainable way. And thirdly, a group for those with a caring need who wish to relate to their own
Okay.
spirituality and to their faith in those groups I've set up. And this is in a time span of 7 years, while coming from ground level, ground zero.
Okay, so I get a picture now of what a social entrepreneur is, and it sounds because I suppose when I hear the word entrepreneur, my own understanding is someone that is creating something that will bring in money. It's about business and things like that. Whereas your social entrepreneur is, I think entrepreneurship is the fact that it is social. It's about creating something of value to the social, to the community, to those that need it. So I have it in my head now. What I believe you've told me a social entrepreneur is, and it's somebody that uses their skill set and your individual path, because you've mentioned quite a few times about walking your own path. So in that walking of your own path, I just want to kind of make sure I've heard you correctly. In walking your own path, this has guided you to alchemize all of your learnings into something that's unique to you. You then go out into the community to people who may have experienced what you've experienced in terms of the mental health system, needing support, and use all of that skill base to aid others, even down to, and I can see the link between the homeopathy and the growing your own vegetables, growing your own food. On the homeopathic front, because to me homeopathy is using herbs, flowers, whatever nature has to offer. What made you decide on homeopathy then? Because that's, even though you said you've walked your own path and everything else, I didn't hear anything that sort of says, I grew up on a farm and we used to use, so I don't know where the passion came for the love and utilization of the gifts of the planet.
Yeah.
You're and what you seem to be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it's such a story. I can talk here for hours, you see.
I'm aware of that.
I appreciate your question very much so. Yeah. So, in actual fact, it's straightforward. Homeopathy is about acknowledging that everyone speaks his or her own truth, no matter what. Yeah. No matter your point of view, you speak the truth from your point of view. Yeah. If we do not understand the person, generally we say, I don't want to know any more about it, or he must be a lunatic, or etc., etc. We have qualifications to stop us from listening, to stop us from sorting out together where he or she is coming from. Now, what I have discovered in physics, and especially in Einstein's physics, is that the point of view, the frame of reference, is all determinant for your truth. This is very abstract, but what it means in real life, it means that listening is the only way forward for all of us. Yeah? So in homeopathy, I discovered a way of listening that enhances the self-esteem of the patient and helps me to find out the best possible remedy for this person. Now,
I'm going to ask my question again.
Going back to your question.
Oh, good.
Going back to your question. So what I discovered there and then, while I was at a consultation, my first consultation with a homeopathic practitioner, because I didn't know what to do with my life. So I went to this homeopathic practitioner, and she gave me a remedy. Yeah? And no sooner I discovered that my focus was boom. Yeah? So I had a focus. Now, I didn't know yet what to do with my life, but I had a focus. And soon after that, I discovered, hey, I have to study homeopathy because I see a resemblance with what I've done so far in my life, in physics and in psychology, and how I combine it all together with actually homeopathy. Even I did not know homeopathy well enough. So this is it. And quite impulsively, I decided, yes, homeopathy is it.
And you have, and you say it sounds as if that point of finding homeopathy and knowing that was it, that there's a visible kind of like, wow, this is there was such a light bulb that sort of went off when you spoke to me, just that it's homeopathy has given you it's just given you your life, not your life, but it's given you such a what's the word I'm looking for? Depth, purpose, richness.
Yeah.
It's given you something that's quite beautiful within your life. I'm not using the correct words, but
no, but perhaps I can fill in, can say something about it, because when you're locked up in a psychiatric institution, and you're dropped up to the ice, you're at ground zero. And what I wish to convey here today is that thanks to homeopathy, thanks to my knowledge of homeopathy, and thanks to my skills, I have been able to get out of that dark place, yeah, independently. So I was self-medicating. Yeah? So this knowledge, for me, is my life. I thank my life to the Creator God and to homeopathy. Yeah. So what I gained through this experience is that a firm trust in life that has given to me, a huge trust in homeopathy. I did not have an antibiotic. 53 now. Yeah, I never took an antibiotic ever since. Yeah.
okay.
It's just one thing. Yeah. And the drugs that I had to take in psychiatry were compulsory. I had to take them. Yeah, not nice. Certainly not for a homeopath. Certainly not when you know the harmful effects it has.
So have you seen your practice and the various groups that you facilitate, have you seen those increase during these times? Because these are quite interesting times, is what I'll call them.
Absolutely.
So how have these times impacted on your groups and your homeopathic practice? What have you?
So, in general, I can say that that I provided homeopathy, which is a clinical medicine, yeah. So it happens within the clinic, yeah. With, let's say, the expansion into the community, meaning in those self-help groups, people listen like homeopaths to one another. Although that's the intention, yeah. So it's a growing process with a group, yeah. And because, for instance, Dilemmas in Love. That's the group for people with a caring need. Very interesting group. Yeah. So here we apply a candle. As long as you hold the candle, let's say ultimately 9 others are listening to you. While the candle goes around, people listen to you and people influence one another. And whatever you have to say for yourself in relation to your caring need, to your dilemma, to your predicament, etc., are your words from your point of view. And in relation to the faith, in relation to religion, it sometimes may not be fitting. You know what I mean? Yeah? Not that others do understand that it's from your point of view and that in actual fact it helped you. So the language becomes second, and and we grow to one another. Now that is one thing, but there's a homeopathic aspect to it as well. In homeopathy, in a clinical setting, you work on a one-to-one situation. While in these groups, I've managed to apply homeopathy in group work. So it means that whenever we are listening to one another in an effort to sort out our dilemmas and predicaments in relation to a caring situation, it means that while listening to one another, support one another, we confirm that we did well and that there's perhaps a need to learn more. We only influence one another. Then at a certain stage, there will be an effort to do something in cooperation with one another, to do some project, for example, yes. And in our effort to unite, to get this project going, yes, we unite for others who are worse off than we are. For example, for the distressed. And in doing so, we overcome our own limitations and we unite. And when we unite, I would be able to provide a remedy for the whole group. So that's the expansion. That is, it's a lot that I have to tell you. Yeah.
Are the participants within your groups aware that you are actually having a homeopathic consultation effectively? Because that's what I'm kind of hearing, and I'm thinking, well, no, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so naturally, it's essential that if I ever would do anything like that, if I ever would give a homeopathic, first of all, I'm a responsible person. You cannot just give a remedy.
No, so this is what I'm trying to clarify.
To anyone. So you don't do that. So, but I have experience with trials, yes, of limited groups, yes, in different circumstances, where we united in an act of unconditional love for someone outside the group, where I was able to provide a remedy. Naturally, the people were aware of it. I cannot give a remedy if they're not aware of it. I cannot. Yeah. So a homeopathic remedy is a little pill. Yeah, and you have to. If you wish to take it, you can take a little pill. And the homeopathic remedy works in line with the human needs. And we have, let's say, the basic human needs, such as sexuality, food, comfort, discomfort. And then we have the higher needs of social orientation, yeah. And then we have our top need is to actually care for one another. That's really what we wish to, yeah. So when we are in an effort to make that happening, to unconditionally care, I apply homeopathy to overcome our own limitations that we still meet in terms of problems on our way. Yet, if I give the remedy, that has a beneficial effect for all participants. It's like a mother who unconditionally cares for her daughter or for her child in general, as does everything, will give her own life. Yeah. So, if, for instance, this mother has a problem with repetitive strain injury and is in an effort to care for her mother, who cared all her life for her, and really pushes herself, but is troubled with repetitive strain injury, then I'm able to apply a homeopathic remedy that addresses love for the benefit of herself and the person she's caring for. Because it helps the mother to care better for her mother. While at the same time, her repetitive strain injuries may subside to a degree. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I see that now. So have you seen a rise in people coming to you?
Well, as you know, ago, mind you, I've been convicted in psychiatry for something. I've been convicted with a DSM label. DSM is a kind of a psychiatric manual, and the label that they've given to me was for life, let's say. So within psychiatric knowledge, yes, they don't know anyone, or they don't talk about it. They don't know anyone who succeeded, or they do not acknowledge anyone who succeeded to overcome that predicament of that label. But
There is that, they do tend to do that within the medical model, especially within the realm of mental health, is once you receive a diagnosis, you can never not receive it. It's as if you can never get well again. If you break your arm, you're allowed to break your arm and your arm to heal. However, within mental health, it's something both within the medical model itself and within society, people very rarely allow you to heal. It's one of the sort of nuances of humanity. I once broke my arm. Nobody ever comes and says, "Oh, Helen, how's your arm?" But because I once lived with depression, it's like, "Oh, are you still depressed?" It's like, you know, that was then. This is now. There isn't an option to, and that helps to, in my opinion, that helps to create the stigma and also the barriers to people going and saying, I'm not very well right now in the way that I'm living. My body isn't, you know, at optimum, but it's because of my mental well-being. That causes that barrier for people to go and do that, because they do not allow you to heal. They do not allow you to say, "Oh, you're well now. You're you know, my arm was broken. It's no longer broken." But that doesn't apply in the mental health, in the psychiatric arena. So it's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. So, well, as a consequence of my incarcerations, I discovered that really the only thing that was left for me to do is to fight for the needs of people who are deprived from a listening ear, people who are deprived from any acknowledgement, people in distress under the thumb of the psychiatric institutions in Ireland. And so let's say these groups that I'm setting up, are beneficial in many ways. First of all, dilemmas in love. I feel there's a huge need for people in dilemmas in love to get to grips with their own predicament. We know that we are religious and we love Jesus, etc., because it's a Christian group. But anyone can take part, by the way. You know, to me, there's no limit. Yeah. Although the number that we have at the moment is 8, so there's always room for more, for 1 or 2. So all I want to say is that people are at loggerheads with their faith and their own spirituality as a consequence of those who the majority in this society claim that they know better. Those are the people with a doctorate who studied on top of that psychiatry. Well, we talked about unconditional love, but psychiatry is to care without love. Psychiatry is an utter control effort of people who are different. Yeah? People who are different as a consequence of severe trauma in the past. People who are different like me, who just could not explain what was going on. Yeah? But thanks to these self-help groups, also, so it was, it's literally a self-help group. Yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
So it sounds as if you found your cure and you are sharing that with others.
Well,
One size doesn't fit all. So what may work for one, but you definitely found something that aided you in your own healing. And it sounds as if that you have then decided, right then, if it worked for me, it may work for others. And what you're seeing is that that is the case.
So it's about feeling similar to what I'm doing. Recognize yourself in the work I'm doing. For instance, people who wish to take part in Dilemmas in Love could be of several different backgrounds. So, but we have one thing in common. We have in common that we feel not well treated by psychiatry. That's one thing. And we are troubled with the fact that no one acknowledges where we are coming from, etc. No one listens to us. That's what we have in common. Otherwise, we are from utterly different backgrounds. But the beauty of it is that when we start listening, we start influencing one another, not imposing opinions. And as a consequence, we reach a happy medium. But beside that, people who take part in this group feel that their self-esteem is growing because they feel taken serious for the first time and they discover, hey, I'm not that different. Now, so you can imagine from that hope arises because just by sound listening, we create hope. And on top of that, when we feel the urge coming up to do something for someone outside the group knowledge, that there are people worse off out there, and we would like to do something together to enhance their situation. That is charity, faith, hope, and charity. The faith that life has something on offer still, the hope that arises from listening to one another, and the charitable aspect as an act of unconditional love. And that's what we unite, and even though we are so different.
Fabulous. Going to just so what are your plans for the future? What are you planning for the future? Is there anything you're planning for the future that you would like to share?
Well, I have a lot of hot irons in the fire, very hot. It requires persistence, dedication, intuition. But what I'm doing, what certainly will happen, definitely, a few books on homeopathy. To write a few books on homeopathy, on social inclusion, etc. Now, homeopathy, as I told you, is originally a clinical setting, yeah. But with this expansion, through a better understanding of the people in distress, yeah, I've made it possible to show a deeper insight into homeopathy, into the basics, which are very determining. It's like building a foundation, you know. If you strengthen the foundation, it has a huge effect for the future of homeopathy.
Have you been able to connect with the psychiatry and the medical model to work in a more holistic way, utilizing homeopathy for people, for some of their clients? Are they open to this? Have you found that they're open to that collaboration?
There are two within you know, on this planet. Luckily enough, there are still a lot of people who wish to care for one another. Yeah. However, there's a spectrum of care. There's a spectrum, a definite spectrum. There's those who listen, and then there's those with a more controlling disposition. You can imagine, for example, if you are working in the fire brigade, you care as well. You care for the lives you save, but it's a form of care. Yeah, definitely. However, due to their harsh circumstances, they are deemed to have a great sense of control in the situation as much as possible to secure the lives of the people they care after. So that is a form of care. And then we have nursing, which demands a more listening capacity. Then homeopathy at the most is the therapy, is the medicine where listening is central stage, where the client is central stage. Yeah? So it's about listening in homeopathy sec. Then at the other side of the spectrum, yes, we have psychiatry. Psychiatry is about controlling the model and not listening. So in psychiatry, and I've been there, I've seen it, yeah, it's about questionnaires. Questionnaires, how many times did you try to harm yourself? Did you try to die by suicide? Now, these questions are repeated again and again and again in the hope that help them to control. So we never, in homeopathy, we listen. So we ask open questions that people feel free to answer yes or no in their own way. So that's a spectrum. So if it comes to cooperation, there is a need for us to put the needs of the most vulnerable client central stage. And let that be the source of our ethics and nothing else, not any system. As long as we keep the needs of the client central stage, as long as we apply ethics that is in line with their wishes, their well-being, we are able to cooperate with other disciplines within the healthcare system.
So are there any of those collaborations happening?
Yes, there are definitely, from my point of view, I don't speak from my point of view, yeah? I feel there's a strong effort to cooperate with the social sciences, so with social workers, okay, with organizations, charitable organizations. I wish to cooperate with Family Carers Ireland. I wish to cooperate with Alone. I wish to cooperate with...
what I'm hearing though is that the psychiatric medical model, there's no collaboration there.
No, that is... well, the only way I cooperate with them is in case a patient wishes, in case a patient is disgusted with the medication that they have to take, that they feel it's not helping them, that it's doing actually the opposite. And if they feel they wish to decrease their medication to 0, like I have done, I'll help. Only if they are willing to cooperate, only if their psychiatrist is willing to cooperate.
Okay. Okay.
I do not have the knowledge of the field that he's prescribing. He probably knows better than I do about the field and how to decrease it properly. So if that's the case, I follow the patient, I provide remedies, keep the balance between the toxic effects of the drugs that are ongoing, it's severe, yes, and one's own self-healing capacity to keep that in balance. Yeah, with homeopathy.
Okay.
While
I can hear that there's a lot of further discussion and questions that could happen, but just in order to keep this conversation succinct, not to have it go on for ever. Would you, I've got a final question for you. No, I have two questions. First of all, how do people connect with you?
Yeah. So I have a marvelous website. And the website, you can find anything and everything I do and will do. How homeopathy works, how a consultation works. This website, can I mention it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking
Yeah,
you to tell me how people.
yeah. My website is www.homeopathy3fold.com.
Okay, I'll have to ask you to send me that in a message.
I will.
Do you have social media? So anyway, whatever how people contact you, I will write down below. Underneath
Thank you very much. Thank
so
you.
I have one final question for you,
Yeah.
and that is, what truth would you like to share?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
What truth would you like to share?
Okay, so it's a short question. It's a short question. I give you a short answer. Life is a God's gift. Have faith in your life. Don't be afraid. Never give up. Know that God is there to help you whenever you ask for it. So, when I was in the depths of my misery, locked up in St. Lomans, I discovered that I'm not that bad of a boy. Yeah. While I was having a chat with God in there. Yeah. But this was I cannot go deeper into that. Yeah. But I'm not a bad boy. Later on, a friend of me asked me, but of course, everyone is is half aware or not aware of the effects of psychiatry. Yeah. So one of my best friends told me, Jeroen, what will you do for the rest of your life? I said, God gave me exactly on my plate what I need to live a fulfilling life. And guess what happened?
You lived a fulfilling life.
I turned a huge upheaval in my social life, in my family life, in my personal life, into something super positive. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeroen. I really appreciate that.
I really appreciate that, Helen. Thank you very much.
So if you just hold on one moment.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to everyone for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed my conversation with Jeroen. Jeroen? Yeah? Jeroen. So information on how to connect with Jeroen will be down below, and information on how to connect with myself via my website will also be down below. So once again, thank you very much for watching. Be well, be mindful, be careful, be kind. Lots and lots of love. Bye-bye.